Oh, hello friends, what's going on? And welcome on back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. As always, mate, I do hope you are doing well, friends. I really do hope that, and welcome back to Chelsea News, which of course is the daily series here on Football Therapy, where I see what's been said about Chelsea, giving you my thoughts on it. As always, more importantly, asking for yours, my community, my Goat Gang members. In today's piece of content, there's three things I want to speak about. The absence of Marc Cucurella, he could be out for a month with his hamstring injury. Tricky stuff indeed. There's an article on Football Insider that was published just yesterday, time of recording, about Elliot Anderson. Of course, Chelsea's still looking at a midfielder. Could we go for the expensive England international there? Thomas Tuchel seemingly is like one of the first names on his team sheet to start next to Declan Rice. We have the Kai Santos double pivot. We have returning players such as Sugo and Lavia to come play in the midfield. Is how much do we really want to invest in this kid Anderson? And I do want to follow up because the conversation on Pedro Neto has been a lot of talk about him in the number 10, and in a world where Chelsea, of course, have one of the best number 10s in the world in Cole Palmer. In his absence, and when we're trying to rotate and protect the young man, you think, what are the other options? Well, there's Estevao, who apparently is earmarked in the future as a number 10, but his best work I've seen in the limited time in a Chelsea shirt is very much on the right wing. He looks like this devastating, high-octane, tricky Brazilian young attacker that we love seeing cutting in and whipping shots across. So in his limited time at number 10, I've not really seen him cook yet. Certainly after a big sample size, João Pedro, I am done seeing him as a number 10. He has got to be our starting 9, certainly for the moment, as we're operating currently. And of course, we've seen Enzo Fernandez do it a little bit, but he's always been more of a left pocket player when he crashes the box and scores. He's not like a playmaking number 10. That's simply not his jam, essentially. Could it be Pedro Neto? I know it's easy to say after he scored a hat-trick against Hull, and Hull are a decent team. They're pushing for the Prem. It was away from home. It was under the lights. We think Pedro Neto, he's a native right winger. He plays a little bit as a false 9. He did at Lazio, and he has for Chelsea a little bit under Maresca. Maybe even once for Rosenio, and we've seen him play a bunch of times out of position on the left. Could this be a solution to alleviate our problems when Cole Palmer's not there? So they're the talking points I want to get into today. There's your roundup at the beginning of this video. In the meantime, I do want to spend a moment and say thank you for your continued support on Football Therapy. I've had some lovely comments from you, man, and potentially woman, down in the comments section. So if you want to become a part of what I think is an excellent community at Football Therapy, please do consider subscribing. If you would like the video, helps brother out. You could also hype it up down here still, I think. If you are going to subscribe and you make that correct decision, you should hit that. Let's see what we got. Sweet, sweet Bill, baby. Just a little quick one, ran through it. Also worth mentioning, Football Therapy is available on all good podcast platforms. Simply add a podcast at the end. Search Football Therapy Podcast. You can watch the video on Spotify. And, yeah, man, if you want to help me out, you can give me a 5-star rating on Spotify. I've always really happy I have been really happy with how it's developed. You guys have responded so well, man. 862 5-star ratings on Spotify. Damn, we definitely could get that to 1,000 by the end of this season. So let's get into it. I have prepared some following pages to share with you. First of all, Nats Kinsella of the BBC. Marc Cucurella is hoping for a return of 3 to 4 weeks. So hoping is, hoping. That's not definitive to 3 to 4 weeks, having had a scan on his hamstring. As he has explained, Chelsea manager Liam Rosenior is generally cautious about putting time frames on injuries to avoid putting pressure on players while they are going through their recovery. This is pretty bad, actually. We're going to have to see Joel Hato step up to the maximum of his ability, the young man, which is a lot of pressure for a kid who, by the way, is still only 19 years old, Jarell Hato. But he's one of the players, much like Andre Santos, definitely like Joao Pedro, that could be benefiting from the new gaffer's arrival, the new head coach's arrival, in terms of how he's going to coach them, how he's going to trust them, the game time he's going to give them, all that sort of stuff. So I'm hoping Jarell Hato can come back. Look, Cucurella is a huge loss. He's a big player for big games. I think like we'll be without him for, the Emirates going away at Arsenal, which is annoying because we're kind of like going in that game. Obviously, we want every point we can get to try and finish in the top 5, a position where we currently are in the Premier League. But the race is tight. Liverpool won last time out, and Man United drew, but so did we. If we'd won against Leeds, a game we should have done. Of course, that sitter that Cole Palmer missed. Had he just knocked that in, we would be 4th. 1 point ahead of Man United, but instead we're 1 point behind. And, Villa won. I don't think necessarily Villa are in the title race, but I think they are, I would say Arsenal, City and Villa, especially. I know they lost against Toon in the Cup, but Tammy scored a goal. The vibes are kind of up. Douglas Luiz in midfield. I have a feeling Villa will just be in the Champions League spots. City will be. Arsenal will be. So there's going to be, essentially Man United, Chelsea and Liverpool are all going to be going into 2 spots, as with the greatest of respects to Brentford, who are only 4 points off Champions League. But, it's going to be trying to keep one of Liverpool or Man United out, really. Yeah, so it's tough. We are going to need Cucurella as quickly as possible. We don't want to rush him back, though. But like I said, what I was going to say about the Emirates game, it's that game, obviously all points are precious when you're in the Champions League race. But that game, kind of in isolation, is how much can we spoil the party for Arsenal in the title race, Because as much as it would be, I'm going to gag saying this, good for the league, for them to win it and not City, I obviously don't want Arsenal to win the Premier League. So, prayer circle that Man City sort the, stuff out. We can help them out by going to the Emirates and winning. Of course, there should be a Igor Tudor, what's his name? The friggin' new Tottenham manager. He has just been announced as interim to the end of the season. Could he put in a new manager bounce for the North London derby? Anyway, we're not here to talk about Arsenal. Screw them, man. Let's move on and just hope Cucurella gets better ASAP. Alrighty then. Football Insider exclusive from Pete O'Rourke, transfer correspondent, has wrote the following about Elliot Anderson. Chelsea told £100 million man offer will be accepted. What does that mean? Let's find out. Me. Chelsea will have to stump up around £100 million if they want to sign Nottingham Forest midfielder Elliot Anderson ahead of Man United and Man City. For Man City, have got loads of midfielders with Gonzalez coming back, Ballon d'Or winning Rodri, other attacking functional midfielders. I get Man United kind of need him big time, especially because it seems like Casemiro's leaving, isn't it? But what if, and it does seem like it could happen for Forest to get relegated. Do they still sell a player for £100 million? Just, the audacity for a relegated team to sell a £100 million player, even if it makes sense, feels off. Anderson has been a key man for Forest over the last 18 months, and Chelsea are known to be admirers of his abilities. Man City are believed to be favourites. Why do they be favourites? I swear they haven't been linked to him that much. But he is not expected to leave the City ground until after the World Cup. Yeah, of course, he's a key man for Thomas Tuchel's England, isn't he? He has 32 appearances across all comps. For a struggling Forest this season, has registered 1 goal and 2 assists. He's not really about that necessarily, though. If you put him in a better side, you can imagine he would generate more productivity. Chelsea are set to battle several top clubs for his signature, and as I revealed, not Jan, this geezer, on the latest edition of the Football Insiders Transfer Podcast. That's a big mouthful. Football Insiders Transfer Insider Podcast. Yeah, it's got a real great ring to it, boys. They will have to pay a hefty fee to land him this summer. Chelsea keeping tabs on the £100 million rated Anderson. Newcastle are also interested in taking Anderson back to Tyneside this summer. No chance, boys. You sold him because you were broke and you're having a rough time in the league. He's not going to be like, oh, I'll come back then when Man City and Chelsea and all them man argue. No, with the greatest of respect to Newcastle, though, a great club, yada, yada, yada. He's not going to go back, is he? Apparently, they're set to be priced out of a move. Shock. While they may not be able to offer him Champions League football also. Yeah, that's true. Liam Rosenior's Chelsea squad is stacked full of talented midfielders as it stands, but their riches could allow them to fork out a 9-figure fee for the 23-year-old. Also, you have to think with Chelsea, they're going to have this soul-searching, existential evaluation. They're going to do some introspection about what Lavia is for Chelsea. Is this guy going to play football for us reliably for a long time? What is Isugo saying? Do you know what I mean? These are questions that will need to be answered. It's very fascinating that, do you remember Maresca was incessantly saying, I see Reece James as a midfielder? But when he arrived, when he was at Chelsea, he said he watched him at Wigan, yada, yada, yada. He was just always going on about Reece James as a midfielder. Now, that's divided opinion in both the mainstream footballing media and indeed Chelsea fans. And of course, we saw him drop that amazing performance with against Arsenal with 10-men Chelsea when Caicedo got sent off, and it was that joke who's the best midfielder in the Premier League, Caicedo or Declan Rice? Oh, it turns out it's Reece James. Do you know what I mean? So he's amazing footballer. He can be amazing in midfield, and I do think Rosenior has played him in midfield, but Rosenior, unlike Maresca, will play him more at right back as well. Like Tuchel, and remember Tuchel was asked about this, the England manager, and he's like, yeah, for me, he's not a midfielder, he's a right back. And Thomas Tuchel's starting England right back, rightly so, is Reece James. But we've seen Thomas Tuchel move Reece James over to left back a couple of times for England. So yeah, Tuchel's not going to play him as a midfielder. Rosenior will, I think, in a pinch, but I don't necessarily think it's his long-term structural plan to always play Reece in midfield like it was for Maresca, basically. So with that, and with the fact how Lavia and Isugo, we don't know what the situation with them, there might be a world that they think, yeah, we need an Anderson, And, if there's one thing these owners, these sporting directors have spent big on, it's central midfielders. They've broke the transfer record twice for midfielders. Speaking on the Transfer Insider podcast, I explained Man United are long-term admirers of Anderson, and they will push City to try and sign him. Newcastle are probably down on the list, of course. You got City, United, and Chelsea. They are admirers of him. Right, this is a little bit of a twist. Another story on the same article, so let's do a transition sound. I apologise in advance for talking about this, because I don't think this is the sexiest thing ever. But Chelsea are also interested in Dusan Vlahovic deal this summer. It's like a bad smell that won't go away, this Vlahovic situation. Chelsea's form has improved massively under new boss Rosenior, but they still do not look like a side that can compete for the Premier League title as it stands. I agree. Do I think Vlahovic is the answer to that? No. Joao Pedro and Liam Delap have each impressed at times this season. I'd argue more Joao Pedro than Delap. But the Blues are set to be in the market for a new striker in the summer. We've just spoken about I did this yesterday. Why? Joao Pedro, Liam Delap, who's just got a hat-trick of assists, Emmanuel Omega. Are we just forgetting about Omega? The number 10, the captain of Strasbourg that played really well under Rosenior, like Santos did, like Sarr did, and it looks like they're both going to be really important to Chelsea. You'd assume, and I know assume makes an ass out of you and me, but you'd assume Omega would do the same. Why do we want Vlahovic? Apparently, Vlahovic is firmly on our radar. The Serbian international has bagged 64 times in 164 games. Not good. Over the last 4 years in Turin, with 8 goals and 20 appearances across all comps. Yeah. No. Hold on. Let me just put out a message to the Chelsea officials. No. No, stop. Stop that. Go away. And nonsense. It's probably nonsense, this anyway. Look, Pete O'Rourke, transfer correspondent. I don't know where you're getting this from, mate. But I think there's a snowball's chance in hell we sign Dusan Vlahovic. I think it's nonsense. And I think you're a sausage for saying it. But Elliot Anderson is genuinely a transfer story that's been linked to Chelsea by all kinds of reputable journalists for a long, long time. If we think we need him, look, I'm never going to be bummed for signing an amazing player. We'll see what happens with that. Right, so we are going to end on speaking about Neto. Because, like I said, Cole Palmer is amazing. He's our starting number 10, and when available, you don't argue, you start him. I don't like seeing Cole Palmer on the right wing, and out of 2 exciting young talents, one being much younger than the other, Estevao and Palmer, I want to see Estevao on the wing. Now, I know his long-term ambitions is to be a number 10, and there's that idea that when he plays with Cole Palmer, number 10 and right wing, they can switch. Great, I'm all for that. That's the future vision, I see it. But in the meantime, the way we've seen Estevao operate, he's been devastating on the flank, out wide, very fast running in behind, going into the byline 1v1, lashing in those shots, whipping in those shots, maybe cutting inside, maybe going on the outside, but he looks like a really effective winger. And we've seen him a little bit in central areas, and I'm not saying he isn't going to flourish into an amazing number 10, but of late, I see him as, if you start him on the wing, basically. And of course, if Cole Palmer's not available, I said at the top of the video, you've got Joao Pedro, who for me is clearly much better, closer to goal. He keeps saying himself he's a striker. He wants to be a striker. We saw on so many occasions Maresca play him as a number 10. Doesn't work for me. Maybe if he played for Tottenham in 2016, he could do the Dele Alli role really well, second sort of striker, but it's not a number 10 as we know it now. Fernandes sort of did a job there sometimes to accommodate the other 2 midfielders. But actually now, Fernandes is playing in this sort of left pocket role. So I wanted to show you this, what I made, obviously, using FotMob. This is what we've seen a lot recently. Fernandes, he's sort of starting as a left winger, but as, obviously, Cucurella and James are fit in this magic starting 11 that I've built. With Sanchez, Mamadou Sarr in the back line with Wesley. Mamadou Sarr could be Trev in the left spot, but, Sarr might be really, really good for us. And, of course, I'm a Wesley superfan. So the Kai Santos double pivot remains. And this is in a world where, say, Cole Palmer isn't available, or he's going to come off the bench, or maybe this is he starts and comes off for 60 minutes. Estevao, this devastating, exciting right winger, and then maybe Neto playing in this number 10 role, where, by the way, you see him in half spaces like this, but if Fernandes is kind of playing left pocket, Neto can operate there. Yeah, we know he can. So he can go on the outside, he can combine with Fernandes, and indeed, the long-term vision that we've obviously spoken about Estevao and Palmer, swap. Estevao suddenly in this number 10, Neto suddenly in his native right-wing position where he can hold the width and go in, but there's something alluring about Pedro Neto in these central areas, and we've seen it when he played 4-9 for ages. So if Maresca would have started games like this, Joao Pedro in a number 10, and he played Neto as a false 9 quite a lot. But actually, Neto can still sort of operate as this false 9 in terms of floating in spaces, getting wide and combining. And it seemed, and again, it's only Hull, but it seemed like it afforded him these opportunities against a low block, of which we will meet many this season. Better shooting opportunities, higher value scenarios for goal scoring, which we want for Pedro Neto, because we've seen him recently make mistakes out wide, get the ball, not cut the ball back, not lay it off, take bad shots, slow the attack down and reset. And that's why he was getting a lot of stick from Chelsea fans, and that's why sort of Rosinia was asked about this by, I think, Simon Johnson of The Athletic in his post-match presser after the win a couple of nights ago, whenever it was. So, yeah, Neto is a quality player. He's a great professional. He works very hard. And if he does play in that sort of number 10 position, he will continue to press and work hard, and he won't just be like floating around mercurially being like, give me the ball, I'm a number 10 whatever. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not saying it's going to be a definitive solution to any problems, but I do want to see it maybe a little bit more and see how it works. So please do let me know your thoughts. Leave them down in the comment section. As always, I'm grateful to you guys for supporting me as a content creator. Of course, you can do that by liking, subscribing, following, and 5-starring on the platforms. And I'll be here every day to navigate another season with Chelsea. We'll get through it together, my friends. All right, it's raining in England here, so I'm just going to go and sit on the sofa for a little bit now and watch some films. Classic Sunday. Take care of yourselves.